everybody. We are here, hopefully without any technical issues today. We think we
We
think
figured it out.
we resolved it. It was like right down to the last second.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Kind of duct taped a couple of things, super glued a couple of
Rigged it
things
up.
together. Yeah. So hopefully we'll hold together. But anyway, good morning. My name is Javi. This is my wife.
I'm Jessica.
And we on this show, we discuss things that we all have to face, right? But we're all about building our faith, developing that character, and taking action towards the life that you really want to live.
Absolutely. And that's the thing here is remember, all this that we do, all this that we say is to help us take action towards the things that we want. Not just to hear a good thing or that's all good to be encouraged, but none of that matters unless we're doing something with it. You know what I mean? So it's just, it doesn't make any difference unless we're taking action. Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Monica. How are you doing this morning? Hey, so listen, before we get started, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of a couple of things. There is a link in the private Facebook group support, the health and wellness support group that we have. If you're watching this from inside our group, there's a link on the description that says StreamYard. Make sure you're clicking that link, the StreamYard link right there. And that's going to make sure that we can see your name when you comment. So make sure you're clicking that. Also, the YouVersion Bible app link right there. That's going to be in all the descriptions, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. And that's just to make sure that you have access to this study that we're using for our topic this week. And this week, we are actually in the second. Oh, Irene's here. Facebook user, Irene. I know it's you because of your emojis.
Yeah, she's in witness protection.
You're in witness protection in Alaska.
her can I say her true name? Her true
your true name. We don't want to give it away. Yeah. Irene.
That she'll have to relocate.
Anyway, but speaking of our series right now, our series is finding peace during your major health battles, but also really any battles. This has been such an amazing 10-part series so far. We're on 8. We're almost done. We did this last week and this week. And man, I mean, what timing it is for this devotional series, because I'm telling you guys, we have been through it this week, finding peace during our battles. I mean, thank God, praise Jesus that we haven't been dealing with health battles right now, because we've been through our share, as you guys know, of that. But this week, it's not. This week, we were going through all kinds of other things that had to do with, technical difficulties. All of our internet was having issues for 3 days
on top of
business problems and
then cancellations and things like that. It's just,
it's been like one thing after another.
One thing. Yeah.
And so yesterday we kind of course you lose sleep. So we haven't been sleeping because of all of this stress. So what happens is it kind of, creates a domino effect of, I'm able to deal with it, but then this happens and this happens. And so as you all know, when your own life, when you're dealing with stress, it's not like one thing is enough. It's usually a compound effect of all of these things that are happening. So by yesterday afternoon, we were both like, we just were like down.
To be honest, it started, that spirit of discouragement really started to seep in.
Yeah.
And I felt it. My wife felt it. Mm-hmm. And we were honest with one another and said, look, this is where I'm at right now. It was we didn't make it a mystery. Okay. I went to her, I said, this is how I'm feeling. She's feeling the same way.
Yep.
Sometimes when you do that, we're like, oh, okay, well then let's go down together.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Let's just go sit on the couch.
And then we start
and watch things on the TV.
Okay. So hopefully if you don't.
Sorry. I don't know if you see this error that we're getting, but hey.
We're still here. We're going to push on. Anyway.
Forget the errors.
Forget that. Anyway, but we finally came to a part of our day where we just kind of sat down. Yes, we were listing off all the things that were
not working
and trying to work through them. But then we finally just said, we stopped and we said, you know what? We got to do something different.
Yeah.
We got to do something.
Got to interrupt the pattern.
Yeah. Because it was just this spiral effect, right? Just kept going. So we had to stop that. And so, I'm like, well, let's go do something that's going to, engage our mind in a different direction, something more positive, gives us a different outlook. And we did, watch a couple of videos and some teaching, some education, just to kind of help us
Refocus.
refocus,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was
really
really
changed.
good.
Right, it really changed our thought
So that's what
patterns.
you have to do. That's what we wanted to bring up is that while we're walking alongside you guys in this, we're doing this too. We get hit with all the stress. We get hit with the things. Just because we know how to deal with stress or we know how to turn it around doesn't mean we don't have it. Doesn't mean that, just because we're eating healthy doesn't mean we don't have cravings. Just because we're working out doesn't mean that we always feel like it. Doesn't mean that it's always working the way we want it to work. Doesn't mean we're never tired or sore or injured. Okay.
Yeah, exactly right.
All this stuff happens to us too. Okay. But it's more about it all comes down to what do you do in that moment to turn it around? Who do you look to? You look to God, right? You communicate with each other. What do you do to not stay there is really the biggest thing. It's not like people that are successful at navigating through these things don't have something to navigate through. It's that they know how to navigate through it instead of staying stuck in it. That's really the biggest difference. It,
Mhm.
it has nothing to do with life not throwing curves at us. It does all the time. Are you kidding me? So yeah, we don't have it all together. It's just a matter of we've learned tools and solutions to get ourselves up and out very quickly. And another thing is that we've done so much work in this area that we're easily able to identify when we're there. Yesterday, I mean, I was in tears because I'll get tired and like lack of sleep will kick in. But instead of spiraling into whatever my emotions are, remember your emotions are not your guide. They don't make your decisions. They're your gauge. I looked at him and said, I think I just need to write this out. I need something to distract me. I've got like I'm too tired to deal with anything. And I've got all these things that I'm not worried about, but like that aren't working. There's all this stuff that's not working. And we're just hitting a wall with this technical stuff. So you know what? And so we just said refocus, we redirect. So we refocused and redirect our attention to something that was encouraging and was working. And it really changed the game for the whole day. And so that's the thing is we want to help you guys with kind of like what we do in those situations when it's like, oh, I'm realizing this is what's happening to me. I'm not going to let it decide for me though. I'm
Mhm.
going to decide that I'm going to react to this like, okay, yeah, this is trying to take me down. Yeah, the enemy's trying to tell me some lies. But I'm not going to believe any of that crap because I know it's not true. So while I'm letting those thoughts still be there and circle the airport, right? They don't have clearance to land. Yeah.
Exactly.
So they weren't landing with me. And I was like, you
You
know
look
what?
like an air traffic controller too.
Air traffic control. I do not clear you to land. All right. Well, I don't know.
So
I have no idea what that's actually.
that's required. You have to have these headphones,
Yeah. And you have to hold it like somehow it doesn't automatically squeeze your head. Like if you hold,
right?
yeah. What did it? I guess if I had one on, like I could take the one. I'm just holding it like,
Then you'll look like a DJ.
yeah, I'm not a DJ. All right, you guys. So listen, we normally would be bringing something fun or something encouraging to you during this part of the show instead of just our own personal nonsensical like story about our stress. But here's the thing is that we have had so much going on that we haven't even had a chance to look for anything fun to give you or anything like that. So that's what this is what I'm saying is we just move on. So
Yeah. So I would love in the comments, let's give Jess her new DJ name.
okay.
What's her DJ name? That would be
What's
awesome.
my DJ name? DJ Hobbit.
DJ
DJ MC Hobbit.
DJ MC Jess.
In a meeting yesterday, I was using a Hobbit analogy that we use. Remember the Hobbit analogy that we use?
Uh-huh.
Is it Frodo? That's like in the spider den or whatever in the forest. I was using that in a business meeting because I was coaching.
Oh, you use that?
I did because it was completely relevant. And then everybody in the meeting, because this is like my family, right? I'm part of a coaching team, and all the coaching teams like, yeah, but you're a hobbit, so it's totally relevant. DJ Baggins.
There it is. See?
Yes. DJ Baggins in the house. Wicket, 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 wicket. Okay. So
Okay, we can stop. Never mind. I shouldn't have brought that up.
wicket, wicket. Well, I'm not Wicket. I'm Baggins. Get it?
Ah.
Okay.
All right.
If you guys are as nerdy as us, you'll get that joke. Also, I'm the size of Wicket. So either way. So we need to move on to our devotional. All right. Please don't stop. I love you guys. Don't stop. Get it. Don't stop.
Did you-
Get it.
Did you see that guy's bling the other day?
Which
we went to get smoothies the other day with the kids. New smoothie place that we discovered, and we got these pretty cool things.
you got smoothie bowls.
They're smoothie bowls.
Yeah, so good.
Okay. And it was kind of different. Gave us a lot of brain freezes. But we're sitting in the car eating this. And
Oh, I know what you're talking
the guy
about now.
pulls up. This guy pulls up and he has this massive necklace on. I mean, it's like
Like,
chains and this big thing here
yeah.
for the state of Washington or something like that. I guess he's proud of-
representing.
he's representing his state, man.
Yeah. Faux show.
So what would your bling look
What
like?
would my bling
Yeah.
look like? Oh, I gotta.
Of course, you'd be like, "Ugh."
I can't. My bling's like as tall as me. I'm like, look, it's my necklace is down there at my feet.
okay.
So I got to bring that back to you tomorrow. I really
Right.
got to. If I'm gonna have my DJ bling, I've got to,
That would be awesome.
bling bling bang bang.
Okay, quit fooling around.
Quit mess. Gosh, you're such a talky talkerson today.
Let's focus on our faith.
Our faith. Are you gonna evangelist now? Let's focus on our faith, people. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Here we are.
There we go.
Here we go. Oh,
Come on.
Oh, it went away.
Come on.
I had it.
We're
I had it.
got it.
There
All
we
right.
go.
Yay.
Okay, so living in peace with others. Are we gonna play nice? Are we playing nice with others today, you guys? All right. So let's jump into this. Let's see.
Is this screen smaller or
Yeah,
is
it is. It's this
or is it
computer.
my eyes?
We changed computers temporarily, so it's weird. Okay. It's not your eyes. You're not that old, babe. Jeez. Okay.
Gosh.
Living in peace with others. It's a challenge that we face regularly. How can we live in peace with other people and restore peace when conflict erupts? The fact is that God desires for us to live in peace with others. He also knows that we'll not always be at peace with others. Conflicts occur. At times, conflicts are not easily resolved. In fact, there are occasions when conflicts cannot be resolved. However, God wants us to do all that we can to be at peace with everyone. We who are followers of Christ know full well that when God is not in full control of our lives, we can act just as despicably as an unbeliever. Our salvation doesn't automatically keep us from being mean, jealous, hateful, or angry. It's only as we ask the Holy Spirit to work in us and through us, only as we yield our nature to his nature, only as we seek to be his representatives on this earth in every relationship we have, that we are going to move beyond pride into the behaviors that establish peace. So, how do we deal with conflict when it arises and establish a peaceful outcome? First, determine the value of the relationship. If you're going to live in peace with another person, you have to decide, is this relationship valuable enough for me to preserve it? Am I willing to compromise on some things and make the relationship work? I firmly believe that those that are saved by grace and indwelled by the Holy Spirit can find genuine peace in their relationship when both value the maintenance of the relationship. I want to point out what this says. When both parties value the maintenance in the relationship. Just want to make sure that's clear, because we are not talking about abusive relationships here, just so you guys are clear. Second, start talking and keep talking. When two people are talking and willing to keep talking and listening to each other, they're much more likely to quickly find resolution to their conflicts and live in peace with each other. Third, be transparent. You cannot have a hidden agenda or manipulative scheme at work in the back of your mind and hope for a peaceful relationship. Being open and honest with others when conflicts arise helps you to reach peaceful solutions in your relationships. And finally, get to the core of the problem. As you communicate openly with others, taking an honest look at what is at the root of the conflict, you'll be better able to work through any difficulty and establish peace. So as you strive to live at peace with others, standing on the truth of God's word, know that God stands with you. He will turn any conflict or persecution you experience to your eternal benefit. He'll bring about spiritual growth, greater faith, and stronger enduring power within you. So let's jump over to the verse today. Romans 12:18 says, if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men or people. Okay, so I wanted to jump back over to this list of things. So number one, first, determine the value of the relationship. Now, before we jump into all of the points that this makes, which are, by the way, amazing points, we have to have our disclaimer because I always want to make sure that we're clear. We are not talking about abusive relationships. We are not talking about even
Toxic, right?
even toxic relationships where you've done every single thing you can, and this person is manipulative and toxic, and you cannot. There's no like two-way street here. It is one way, and you're trying to do everything you can, and basically you're beating your head against a wall because this person's not part of the solution. You have to make a decision at that point, and that's why this even says sometimes things cannot be resolved, and then the peace is found in you walking away and also not having bitterness, unforgiveness, revenge, manipulating things in mind. Like you have to just be like, I'm going to have peace and find peace in this relationship by ending things peacefully and just saying, you know what? There's no solution here. We've done everything we can. I've done everything I can. I've given it to God, and God is going to have to take care of the stuff I can't. But I can't be in part of this because it is um, affecting my faith or my walk with God or my life, or being a stumbling block or whatever. So you have to make that decision. But remember, this is saying get to a point where you can make this decision genuinely because you've done everything you can, unless it's obviously abuse, and then you just need to get out of there. But so that I just want to make that disclaimer. We're talking about normal, healthy relationships where people have conflict and you need to resolve the conflict. So in a marriage that's not abusive, or a friendship, or a family relationship, sisters, mothers, fathers, whatever, this is something that when two people are trying to work towards a resolution, that these are the things that need to occur.
Right. So I'm sorry,
No,
I interrupted.
go ahead.
Okay, so this kind of reminded me of what we were talking about in our own experience from yesterday.
Mhm.
What we talked about just a little while ago, and where we were both kind of going down quickly. I mean,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were,
And we were even tense with each other, by the
yeah,
way. We were like
yeah,
realizing we were just short with each
we
other.
were really, yeah. It was a tense day.
Yeah.
But you notice when you're in conflict with someone, say in a relationship like this, you're in conflict and you're arguing or disagreeing about a certain subject. And then both decide, okay, we're both just going to take a time out here,
Yeah, like, whoa, what's going on?
and we're going to try to move on with our day. And then as you move through the day, you do other things in common. You maybe clean the house, you go take the kids somewhere, you
Eat.
you get your mind off of it, off of that one thing that you're disagreeing about
Right.
with. And then you give yourself wins of throughout the day of things that you're not arguing about, right? Your kids, your house, you find other things that there's no conflict.
Right.
And there are times, well, a lot of times, when we are now in better moods, we're not so hyper focused on the issue that we had conflict over.
Mhm.
We come back together, and then we could say in a rational way and work through
Yeah.
that conflict. Now, there have been times that you try to come back to that conflict when after you've taken time out and try to resolve it, and it just riles the emotions back up. That's been the case also. But usually one or both are still holding maybe some resentment, maybe holding their stance
Yeah.
on it, and not willing to compromise, not willing to uh see the other person's point of view. And that, I like what they point out here in a in normal relationships. You have to you have to value, you have to analyze, you have to uh
What's the
uh
word you're looking for? Analyze, evaluate.
evaluate the relationship, evaluate what does this mean to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
What's the
well,
value of the relationship?
obviously my wife means the world to me, so obviously I'm going to be willing to compromise, but
Right.
there
Same.
are things that I'll hold a stance on. And so, but if I'm holding on to it in a way that is full of bitterness, anger,
Resentment.
resentment,
Yeah.
and when I come back to discuss this conflict, if I'm still holding on to it, that's not going to get us anywhere.
Well, and something, and again, we always like to be as transparent as possible because we believe that it's helpful. In our relationship, there's going to be things like, for instance, we actually are, we both been married before. We both have adult kids, right? So we've been through failed marriages, which were dismal failures. Okay. And so we have old tapes, we call them.
Mhm.
We have old tapes, old hurts, old traumas, old things from past relationships, and I think all of us do. But any of you who've been married and divorced and then married again, and you're in a great relationship now, you know that you have to move into a space where you make room to discuss that these are just old tapes. Like, I'm reacting in a way that's like a pattern and not necessarily what you're actually doing. So like both of us have this old pattern, this old tape of I'm not being heard. Uh I need to make sure I'm heard because I wasn't heard ever.
Mhm.
So it's like it's this idea that we recognize what it is for what it is, and we discuss, oh, you are hearing me. I'm just trying to make a point because I feel like I need to be heard. So when we come his alongside his point, when he's saying we need to come back to the table after a timeout, usually what happens is we come back, and because the tension has gone down and the emotions have gone down, and we understand what the act we can look at the situation, like from stepping back from it and go, oh, okay. So now let's just rediscuss this with the idea that number one, we just want to listen better and just say, I'm just going to totally hear you out, not worry about what my thoughts are, but just let you be heard. You know what? Just go ahead and say everything you need to say. I'm just going to let you be heard so that we can get out of the way the I didn't get heard part. Then once that's gone, then we can really go, okay, was it that we were just trying to be heard, or was it that because we weren't letting each other be heard because we were both trying to be heard, that we didn't actually know the full story? Because sometimes we'll have a conversation where we don't even get to the full story because we're both trying to get heard, and we don't ever get out the full thing. And you know how many arguments we've had where we actually agree. So we've
Yeah.
had, and it's the weirdest thing, because of old stuff, because of old traumas, we've had more discussions that are heated that we agree on than we disagree. We
It's the
actually don't
approach.
disagree much at all.
It's usually the approach or how we view it.
Yeah, that we want to
And
be
then
heard on our
when it
viewpoint
gets down when we get down to it, oh, we see it the same way. It's just
from a different
we're
angle.
seeing it from a different angle, and we're just disagreeing. Why can't you see it from my
Yeah, from
angle?
my angle. And it's
Right?
so funny because who cares about that? And so we'll be like, oh, we agree. Why do we even get heated? So look, when you are invested in when it talks about first determining the value of the relationship, we value this relationship over any other relationship,
Mhm.
period. This is like the number one thing right here. We value this. So we're willing to put in whatever, we're willing to listen to whatever, we're willing to compromise, or I'm willing to be like, you know what, I'm wrong. And he's the same way. You know what? It doesn't matter if I'm right. I just don't, I want us to be good. And, do I really need to be right or heard today on this? Or is it really that we agree and it doesn't matter and I'm just being emotional? Like, you know what I mean? So there's these kinds of things like I'm willing to look at that stuff because I totally value this relationship. Whereas if you had a relationship where you were having conflict and you barely knew the person, or it was a toxic relationship or whatever, are you pouring into something? Are you willing to pour into something and be patient with something and be, compassionate and loving with something and go the extra mile with someone that either they are not, or this isn't something you've invested in? This is not an investment relationship. It's just
Mhm.
sort of an acquaintance or whatever. Where are you spending your energy? Because that's what steals your peace away too. Whereas a relationship like this, where we have completely invested, the peace actually comes from the compromising and investing and talking it out, and the going the extra mile. The peace comes from doing that so that we can resolve any conflict, as opposed to the peace coming from not letting the conflict steal our peace and walking away. Does that make
Exactly.
sense?
Yeah,
So,
exactly
hey,
right.
Annie's here.
Good morning,
Good
Annie.
morning, Annie.
No,
Beautiful souls.
the thing is what one way to really evaluate that relationship. How much do you really, in regards to your investment into the to resolving the conflict? Okay, how much do you know that person? You
Mhm.
know, obviously your spouse, but if this is someone that you're really getting to know, and there's a conflict,
Mhm.
well, how much more are you willing to give to resolve the conflict? Maybe it is a friendship or a relationship you want to pursue, but you really don't know this person yet. You don't really know their quirks or their personality just yet. So, and you got to understand is they're also trying to get used to your
Yeah.
quirks and um, your points of view. So,
Yeah.
we're talking about our point of view and how we see things.
Mhm.
Okay, so both her and I are troubleshooters. Okay,
We're also very intense individuals.
but
So
one of the things that we usually always butt heads on is technology or things around technology,
yeah,
right?
because we're both
Because
trying to figure it out at the
but we
same time.
approach it differently. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm an engineer. I approach things a lot
Well,
differently.
he's a hardware person. He's like, he could rewire anything. And I'm like a software person, right? So I'm
And
looking at
and
it from
and
that
so
angle.
so a lot of times she can't help it, and I realize that. So when she's trying to show me something software related, okay? She can't show me without taking over.
I have to
She
have my
can't
hands on
stand
it.
behind me and just kind of go here, go here. No, go here, right? It's like even computers, you could have the fastest computer in the world. It's not fast enough for her. She just
I'm like lightning
she's
speed with
wanting to move
software.
quicker and quicker and quicker.
Yeah, yeah.
She wants a computer to think faster than her. Uh, and it's just not there yet. Technology is not there yet. But
Technology's
a-
not there yet.
anyway,
But
but the thing is that our approach, I know that our approach is different, especially when it comes to those things. And it's the biggest conflict that we usually have.
but knowing that we have the patience for it. Imagine when we first got together, you guys, when we first got together, when we say we have these old tapes, how do you think we know that? We had to discover this the hard way. We had to
Mhm.
go through many like and we don't really fight. That's the thing we're making it sound like we fight all the time. Actually, we never fight. A lot of times what we'll have is like we have heated discussions, and I call it that because we're both very intense people. So we're both alphas, we're both leaders, we're both intense, like we're just like, leaders. So when we're having discussions, most of the time that's really great because we really um complement each other. But sometimes when we're both trying to lead a project or we're both trying to lead troubleshooting an issue, that's what he's talking about. So when you have two leaders in the house and you're trying to both like troubleshoot something or to both trying to solve a problem or, brainstorm, I mean, it's like, well, both of you want to take the reins of like fixing it, but we both do have separate viewpoints and separate and very different strengths. So when we were first starting to figure this out, we would just both go all in and then just both try to do it and not really work together very well because and then we figured out that we were getting in fights because we weren't being heard. When we finally realized that's what was happening, it
Right.
wasn't even our actual viewpoint, it was just our patterns.
Right.
So I want to bring that up. I'm not trying to just like
Mhm.
spiel about our relationship. I want to bring that up because sometimes it's not even what you're actually talking about. There's been so many heated discussions that we've had that actually have nothing to do. We're heated not to do with the content that we're talking about, the actual topic. We're not even heated about that. We actually agree. It's the style of communication that we feel like we have to have in order to be heard. And that comes from, by the way, if you're that person, that comes from childhood even. I mean, both of us were never heard as kids.
Mhm.
And that moved into projection is real.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. That's great, Irene. I think it's
Well,
Irene. But that comes from like patterns, old patterns. It could be from when you were a kid, if you were abused or neglected, or just, I mean, maybe you had like 13 siblings. I don't know. But if you're not heard and you've got to make a point to be heard,
yeah.
that carries. And
Yeah.
so it could just be that when you're in a discussion with
Sure.
someone, your conflict is just simply that you're like, I just want to be
So
heard.
so getting back to when what kind of value this person that you're in conflict with,
Mhm.
what's part of that is, well, how well do I know this person? And if I know them very well,
Mhm.
is this conflict rooted in just the way they operate, how they view things? And then it goes back to what I had said is is using what you know to help you understand their point of view, to maybe help you to see things a little bit differently, or speak in a way that speaks to the way you're seeing things.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one way to do it. But a lot of times, what we do is because we know the person so well, we use that as a weapon
Mm.
rather than a tool to resolve it. Okay. So we use it as a weapon as well.
Not
I know,
we, people.
right. As well, I know that you're thinking this way. I know this because you know the person's pattern,
Mhm.
or maybe you know what they have
I know
said,
what you're gonna
they
say.
said before.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we use that as a weapon. Now, I think that is a lot of times that is natural because were frustrated, we're maybe angry, but we again got to step back. Okay, that bitterness, that anger should be no part of the discussion if we are following what God wants us to do,
Right.
right?
So,
So go
well, I
ahead.
was gonna say, so the next thing is says second, start talking and keep talking. So I want to run over these.
Yeah, because we're stuck on this point.
No, no, it's okay. It's just I don't want to go too long today, but when two people are talking and willing to keep talking and listening to each other, they're much more likely to find a resolution. So that's actually how we are now. We just go, okay. So we get through any heated part of it. If okay, you talk and then I'll talk and then we'll make sure where each other is heard and then let's work through. Let's just keep talking. And it doesn't mean, hey, you need to sit down. What was that?
I have no idea.
You're throwing stuff. You need to it doesn't mean you need to sit there and keep talking and hey, we can't leave the table and come back to this. Don't push things into the ground and then cause less peace because you're not willing to stand up and go, we need to take a breather from this.
Mhm.
We need to reevaluate recollect our thoughts and just come back to the table in a little bit. Like he said, yesterday we walked away from
Give
that.
yourself some wins.
Yeah, yeah. And just kind of take a step back and refocus, right? But keep talking about it. Don't just let it go and then I guess it'll figure itself out. Things don't figure themselves out. They're not people, they're things. Thoughts and problems don't figure themselves out. Okay, you have to work it out. So keep talking. And then third, be transparent. Okay, I want to be real clear about this.
Be transparent about it.
I'm going to be transparent about it. Be transparent. You cannot have a hidden agenda or a manipulative scheme at work in the back of your mind and hope to have a peaceful relationship. So that's what goes back to. So you definitely shouldn't be doing that. But also, if you're working with somebody who is like that, or you find out they're like that, or you already know that to be the case, whether again it's a family member or a friend or a spouse or whatever, um, you have to understand what you're working with. Okay. So that goes back to point number one. What do you value? How much do you value this relationship? It's if you're realizing that number one, that they're being manipulative or they're not on board with fixing this, they're not going to sow into the relationship the same way you are, that it's not equal ground. You've got to take that into consideration and go, okay, I value this relationship based on what I want it to be, but you need to step back and go, what do I value this relationship based on what it is? We can't place value on things based on what we want it to be.
Yeah,
We need to place
that's good.
value on
Very,
things based on
yeah,
what they are.
yeah.
Okay.
That's a great point.
So that goes for romantic relationships, family relationships, like friends, coworkers. What is this relationship actually?
Yeah,
Not what I would like it to be, not what I think it's
right.
potentially could be, or who I think you could potentially be for me, or whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those people that always want to,
Change people or
yeah, change them or fix them. Right.
project.
Oh, it's my latest project. But
Yeah.
no, but the thing is, and that's a really good point. But also going back to what I was saying about uh, knowing the person very well and
Mhm.
knowing their personality, their approach.
Right.
Remember, manipulation is a tool. because excuse me, it's not a tool, it's a weapon. Okay. Remember, just because you know that person and maybe know their thought processes and how they approach certain issues doesn't mean it's an opportunity for you to manipulate that person to get your way
Yeah.
in that particular conflict.
Right.
Okay. That's not what we're talking about here. Manipulation is a weapon.
Well, in the sense that we're talking about here, there are cases in life where people would argue that there's, when you're manipulating, like something that it's not always a negative word.
Sure, sure.
But I
I'm
just
talking
wanna,
about in
this case,
Yes.
manipulation in relationships is not, it's a weapon.
Right.
Okay. You don't want to manipulate someone. Okay. And if you don't know what manipulate means, it's basically taking things that you know and using them for your benefit and for the non-benefit of the other person to get what you want.
Like there's certain people that will go nameless, okay, that we know very close to us that in the past maybe I would say things knowing that they will disagree with me. So I would say the opposite.
So reverse psychology.
Right?
This is
So I know they'll disagree with me, so they'll actually do what I want them to do. Right?
Yeah.
So that's manipulation.
Which could actually be confused with the way what we do with our small children, called reverse psychology.
Right.
So when you have toddlers, you're like, don't do that.
Or grown adults.
Thing that I want, or grown adult children. Yeah, but no. No, anyway, all joking aside, don't manipulate people. But anyway, but seriously, like, you want to make sure that you are fully aware of what you're dealing with and who you're dealing with before you decide these things when you're in conflict. Now, the last thing is finally get to the core of the problem. So I'm just reading over on the screen. Sorry. As you communicate openly with others, taking an honest look at what is at the root of the conflict. So again, we discovered through our relationship that a lot of our conflicts were actually communication styles and old traumas, not actually that we disagreed at all. We didn't even disagree. There were so many times at the end of 30 minutes of us being heated and being like, no, but listen, that we actually agreed. And we would always get upset because we're like, well, why are we even arguing? And so we finally realized that it was that we were just trying to be heard. Man, I would be like, no, but listen. And he would be like, yeah, but my point is, and then he would even make a point and then be like, yeah, but my point is, I was like, you literally just made your point already. Like he would be so focused on making his point and being heard. And I would do the same thing. So I'm not picking on him, but it was like, I just remember from my point of view, I remember figuring this out. We finally were like, wait a minute. Like you're just so focused on making your point that I think we lost the point. I don't even think we disagree. I think literally we were just trying to make sure that our point got across because we were so like in a pattern of just trying to make sure that we got heard and understood. And that was at the beginning of our relationship, but it took us a while to figure that out. But here's why we figured it out, because we put value in this relationship.
Like 10 years and 6 months.
10 years. No, but here's the thing. I want to make sure we come back to the thing that we started with, which is finding peace in your health battles. Now, imagine all of this going on while you're fighting a huge diagnosis. All these things start to surface like crazy when you start fighting health problems. Yep. They really start rearing their ugly heads. They really start becoming a stumbling block because now other things are happening where people are like, I don't even know that person. They don't communicate the same way they used to communicate. Or I don't know what I'm supposed to say now because I don't know how to fix it. But then I feel like I don't want to be like this, but I don't want to be like this either. And And this is all new and we don't really even know what to do. And so they stop operating as a team and they start operating on islands.
Well,
and then it's like, oh
yeah.
And then
to be honest, that's a very good point. From the time when I first was diagnosed, and that idea of not being heard. Okay.
Yep.
When I was diagnosed with this disease and I was facing this disease, a lot of people had their own opinions, how I should live my life, what I should do, on and on and on. But I didn't feel heard very quickly because very quickly it's something like this. People have, again, they're their opinions. They want to, you know,
Yeah.
say things and do things.
Doctors
And
sometimes won't hear you.
and so you
Sometimes.
feel like you're not heard.
Yeah.
So what happens? What happened to me? I just shut down. I stopped talking. And once I stopped talking, I stopped feeding into those relationships. Once I start feeding into those relationships, they die. Right.
Right.
And so that's not where we need to be, and that's not what we should do.
And then when you started talking again, it was like, everybody listen.
Yeah, and then it blows up, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, real quick, I want to bring in a couple of comments. Bring in Monica. That's funny.
Okay, so it's covering our face. It's so big. What's the comment say? It's down there. It says, I think that's why I talk so loud sometimes. All of us madrigals, or maybe this is, by the way, Javie's sister, or maybe I was such a bully as I was a kid because I just wanted to be heard, because in my home, I never really got to be heard because there was so much yelling. Yeah. You guys had a crazy childhood. Sometimes I have to catch myself because when I'm talking to other people on the phone, I'm talking so loud. You do talk pretty loud, man. And so do I. So I get it. So if it's a working relationship and I know it's not going to go nowhere, I can't get along with, I just go do my best and do my work and put my earplugs in and listen to. Yeah. So I knew there's more to the comment on Facebook, but it only gives us so much on the screen. Otherwise it would be the whole screen.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I totally get it.
No,
and that's the other thing. When I say we're intense, we're both very loud. We'll be having a normal conversation and the kids are like, hey, are you guys screaming?
So my wife, yeah, she's a true madrigal for sure. And she was this way. I found her this way.
I found her this way on the street. He just discovered me in a corner of the street.
No, she's the loudest one. No, she's perfect for me.
It's true. I'm the loudest one. I love that Jeff says, always says no buts. Yeah, really. No buts allowed. Yeah. So it's true, because these are patterns, right? So this comes from things. So when you're in a relationship, especially one where you're invested, you start to go, oh, I'm not only invested in figuring out this conflict or whatever the conflict is, but why are we having a conflict? What would we have conflicts about? What's gonna get involved in our conflicts, and start listening to each other's backgrounds and things like that. Then you really start to understand where to get peace in your conflicts, because it's not just in the moment, it's moving forward. So when you're in like a long-term relationship like that, not just some like a friendship or something that's like, passing, you start to look for like the root of things. So that was number 4, is look for the root. What's the root of the conflict? Is it actually a disagreement? Is it just a communication pattern? Is it that you're not listening? If you're ever wondering what's going on in your communication, the best thing to do to start fixing it is stop talking and listen. That's my number 1 advice.
Yeah. And you know what? That also goes along with our relationship with God.
Yes.
Because aren't we sometimes in conflict with God? Well, Lord, why?
Yes.
Why this, and this? Why haven't you why haven't you fixed this, or spoke into this? Or why you've gone quiet? Why are you ignoring me? Why, all these things, or why is it this way? And why? And you're in this conflict.
Be still and know that I am God.
Yes, exactly right. Sometimes you just have to be still and be quiet, and the resolution will come.
Well, we talk all the time about wanting answers, but think about this. Answers and solutions, especially from God, mean we'd have to hear the answer. And you don't hear with your mouth. So as long as we're talking, we generally won't get answers from God.
And what I mean by being quiet, and I'm guilty of this, okay?
Oh, yeah, me too.
Is I might not be talking directly to God, but I'm stewing about the very thing that I have brought to him many times. And I'm now stewing about it. I'm trying to resolve it on my own. I'm trying to figure it out on my own. And well, he's not doing anything, so I guess I'm gonna take it over. And so you start to get impatient in things, and that is part of the noise, right?
Yeah, that's a great point. Part of the noise is that you're continuing and perpetuating the lack of peace in the situation.
Yes.
By
so you'll
not
never
just
get,
going, I really am just going to put this down and give it to God.
The answer could be right in front of
Oh my
you
gosh, yes.
and you can't see it.
How
There
many
have been
times?
times,
Yeah.
there have been times that I've said to her, I know the answer is right in front of
Oh,
us.
remember that time we lived in that it was our first rental house, and there's this big house we were sharing with some roommates or whatever. And it's this big rental house. And so we had like a basement, like with there was all these bedrooms and stuff. So it was like different parts of the house. So there was all this opportunity to be like, for where to look for this. He lost his wallet. And do you remember this? So he had these like cargo shorts. I think you still own them actually. These cargo shorts that like have all these pockets, and he had those on. And then he had changed his clothes that day. And then all of a sudden he didn't know where his wallet was. And we started looking, and we looked and we looked and we looked everywhere. And as you do, right? And got to a point where we were like, okay, do we leave it at the store? Did we do this? Did we do that? And finally we had no idea. We called places. We didn't know where the wallet was. And finally, as we do, we wait till we've done everything. Let's pray about it. So we just sat down and we prayed that God show us where the wallet is. And when we stopped talking and we just listened, Javi immediately knew where it was. Immediately. It was the craziest thing that's ever happened with prayer in our life. That's why I always go back to this situation, this story, because he literally stands up and goes, I know where it is.
Yeah,
the whole time.
It was like a picture in my head just was there, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Now, it was in the back pocket of his cargo shorts that he had taken off, and for the first time in history, for all men, had actually folded them back up and put it in his drawer. This doesn't ever happen. Okay. Most of the time, there are rapture piles, we call them in our house, where all the clothes get dropped into one pile, like someone disappeared and their clothes hit the floor. So we call them rapture piles. But he just like folded them up and put them in his drawer neatly because he had only worn them for like half a day, and his wallet was still in there. And like literally, because that was totally out of character, we had no idea what had happened to the wallet. So,
but exactly. Thank you, babe.
Yeah, you're welcome. I love you. I have to be humorous about that because I love you. I will take all the rapture piles all day. Don't even worry about it.
Anyway,
but it's one of those things where, like, if we're listening and we're asking, that's when the answers come, not when we're talking and stewing. Exactly. And perpetuating our lack of peace. Right. So anyway, with all that said, talk about talking. Yeah. Talkity Tuckerson. I'm DJ Baggins here with you this week. I'll be here all week.
You have to make sure you're like that.
DJ Baggins here with you all week.
Either that or you're a weather reporter out in the hurricane.
With my hair. All right. Okay. So this has been really good because here's the thing: is that while we talk through all of these scenarios this week and last week, like I said, of finding peace and what takes our peace away and all these things that happen. And then I want to make sure, again, with the health problems that everyone goes through, these are the real health problems, by the way. These things that happen in your mind, these things that happen in your relationships, we talk to all you guys. We know that DJ Yaps. There you go. We know that the real problems when you're talking about facing major health issues is the stuff that happens in your mind and your relationships. It's not, yes, you have all the medical stuff, but think about it. If you were just trying to deal with like the diagnosis, what do I need to do to fix this, blah, 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 and there was no like mind issues or like emotional issues or relationship issues, then you would just be dealing with like textbook stuff. You would just be dealing with a medical issue and then you handle the medical issue, and then the doctors tell you what to do or whatever. But it creates so much mental, emotional, spiritual, and relational stress that becomes the actual bigger issue than the even medical issue was to begin with. And I'm not trying to minimize medical issues because we've had major ones in our house, but because our brain, right, is the control center of our body. If our mind is distracted and taken over by the weight and the chaos of the stress and the unknown of what's happening to us in that medical situation, then we can't deal with anything. And then everything in our life starts to unravel if we let it.
Yeah. And that's really getting back to that root cause thing. The root cause isn't necessarily the medical condition. The root cause may be the issue that you've been packing away for decades.
How many people, and you said with you, is the same thing with you. We said this in a different devotional. How many people out there have had a diagnosis of heart disease, autoimmune disease, or a sudden, like you were in a car wreck or some major medical thing happened. All of a sudden you're facing that, right? And all your stuff comes up from childhood, or all your stuff comes up from previous relationships, or all your old tapes, or all your old baggage and your trauma surfaces because you're now having to dig into your psyche and your emotional stuff and your, you know, your spiritual baggage.
Well, yeah, it happens quite a bit when you're faced with your own mortality,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
But
All right.
okay,
So this has been
that's
amazing
that's a
today.
positive note to
Yeah,
end on.
when you're faced with your own mortality.
Hey.
Hey, have a great day.
Yeah, see you later. Anyway, no, look, I hope you guys got something out of today. I know we went a little bit longer than we have been,
Yeah.
but I think
Oh, so good though.
you know, I think it's well worth it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys got something out of today. If you did, please hit like and share this with your friends and family. Okay.
Absolutely.
Share this with someone that you're in conflict with. And you might get
Hey, you should listen to these people.
Okay? Say,
yeah. No, but you know what?
just shut up and listen here.
Yeah, these people know they talk a lot. Listen to them. I'm done talking to you. No. So, but again, look, this is a mission that we can't be on just the two of us by ourselves. This is something that we all face. This is something that we all are on a mission to helping each other with through our health battles, right? And it's something that we are all constantly working through. It's a journey. This isn't something we all get to a point where we suddenly are great at taking care of these things. So that's why we want to talk about it. We want to help you guys work through these things that are all part of the journey of dealing with your health battles. All right. So first things first, before we go, I want to make sure you guys are aware of where you can support this show. So if you want to sponsor us, if you want to sponsor this show or our podcast or any of the other outreach things that we're doing to help people with their health and get the life that they truly want, make sure you jump over to www.javieandjessicamadrigal.com and become one of our monthly sponsors. You can sponsor us for as low as $5 a month. So we're just wanting to build a tribe of people that are partnering with us, that are on this journey of helping those out there that desperately need help with their health and their lives, and to lift each other up and to encourage each other, okay, along the journey. And we like to partner with people on that. Can't just be us. So if you want to do that, make sure you jump over there and you can be a sponsor for our show. Also, 21-day challenge on September 6th. It's rolling. We are enrolling for that. We are starting to build the group for that, and it's eliteninjaacademy.com/21-day challenge. If you want to get your nutrition on track, if you want to kick in the butt from the two of us and from the group, if you want to get your fitness on track, if you want to learn more about how to work out or not have to think about what you're going to do for your workouts, you just want to push play and go and work out every day, we've got you. Okay. And there's going to be all kinds of other tools and resources in there. We're here to walk alongside you. We're doing the workouts every day with you. You guys, if this is something that you need, make sure you jump over to that website and sign up today. And if you are a couple, don't forget, you guys can both sign up for the same price. It is $97 for 21 days, and you can't go wrong. If you pour into it, you guys, if you do the work, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, it's good. It'll change the direction
of your life.
Going,
absolutely.
Right? So, you know, one of the things I want to say before we go, you know, what they brought up, that DJ Yaps would look great on your bling.
Yaps.
Let us know in the comments if you agree.
All right, guys, we love you. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. We'll talk to you soon. Love you guys.